Alright, so you've probably seen this engaging login form by Darin Senneff. A timeless example of interactive UI being done right. It's fun, it's responsive, and it just feels alive. This concept has been out for almost a decade. Though the challenge for creating assets like this, or experiences like this, is that they have to be coded out entirely. From animation, they have to be coded out. From making interactive, they also have to be coded out. And that was the big challenge. And in this tutorial, by the way, this is going to be a two-part tutorial, we're going to be simplifying the process using Figma and Lottielab. In part 1, we're going to transfer our Figma designs to Lottielab, animate it, and add some interactive states to it. And on part 2, we're going to implement it inside of React. And before we start, here's the end result of our version. Here's our login form, and our characters just blinking at the moment since we're not selecting anything. And by the time that we select our username input, it looks at the username input, and as we type, it follows as we type. And if we go back, it follows back as well. And when we focus on our password, it covers its eyes for some privacy. And when we toggle on show password, it looks at it through its fingers. So this is what we're going to be making for this video, but we're going to do it a lot simpler and with a lot less of coding. That being said, let's recreate this iconic piece by Darin Senneff. Alright, so let's start onto our Figma file, and over here, as you can see, I've recreated the design, and I've made this design with a bunch of circles and with a bunch of paths using the pen tool. This design is pretty much good to transfer onto our Lottie editor. So to transfer our Figma design, what we need to do is we need to open a plugin called Lottielab. Let's open the plugin, and once that plugin is open, we just need to select our design that we want to copy, this design right here, and we just hit copy. And let's transfer to our Lottie editor, Lottielab. And there we go. As you can see, I've already got the design prepared, but let's ignore that one for now. And let's paste in our Figma design. There we go. We've pasted in our Figma design, it's one-to-one to how it was inside of our Figma file. From looks down to how it's being structured. So that's the beauty of the Lottielab plugin. It copies everything one-to-one to how it was inside of Figma. So there's that, but I'm gonna delete it for now since I've already had it prepared. Delete that one and unhide it. And before we start, let me just maximize my browser so that you get a better view of it. And there we go. Alright, so that was the design part. Taking our Figma designs to Lottielab, done. Now moving on to the next bit, which is the animation part. So, question, how do we animate things inside Lottielab? Well, it's pretty simple. You just need to go onto animate mode, and over to this mode, anything that you change in a specific point in time is going to be added as a keyframe. What's a keyframe? A keyframe is basically your way of saying, at this point in time, I want this certain thing to happen like this. So to better explain that, I'll do a quick demo. So I'll create a random square over here. Alright, and over to animate mode, I'll move this square 1 second to be at the lower right. There we go. If we play that back, it goes to the lower right. And at 1 second, I want it to rotate as well as it goes to the lower right. Like that. As you can see, it rotates as it goes to the lower right. And that's the only rule that you gotta keep in mind when animating things inside Lottielab. That being said, let's get started on animating this asset. So the first thing that we need to animate is the blinking asset. No, the blinking animation I mean. And the next part that we're gonna do is we're gonna do the following bit. And the next part is the covering the eyes, and also the very last, the peaking state. Alright, so let's do the blinking animation at 0.3. Let's add a keyframe, and let's not change anything because we want to keep this look as is. So let's move on to 0.4, and let's look for the eyelids. Over here, there's the eyelids. What we want to do here is we want to resize them down. Alright, resize them down, and at 0.5, let's resize them back up. And there we go. That's our blinking animation. Lovely. Now on to the following bit. So at 1 second, let's add a keyframe, and at 1.2, let's add another keyframe over here. And what we want to do is we want to move the face to look at the lower left. So let's move that, and let's also move the face shape over here to look on the left. And since we're looking down, let's move the bangs down as well. And let's move the bangs to the left since we're looking left. Lovely. And over here, let's adjust the face shape. I'm just double clicking on the path so that I could adjust the path. And just like that. Right, lovely. And let's animate the other parts as well. So over here, let's move it to the left. And since we're looking down, let's move it down. As for the side beards, we're moving left. Let's adjust it over here. I'm gonna rotate it for a little bit and adjust the path. Like that. Cool. And same thing for the other side beard. Since we're looking on the left side, let's move it to the left. All right, lovely. As for the ears, since we're looking on left, this left ear is not going to be in view for a little bit. And the right ear is going to be in view a little bit more. Like that. Lovely, lovely. And since we're looking down, our hair should be moving down as well. And let's rotate it for a little bit, like that. Okay, lovely. And to emphasize the movement more, let's adjust the body shape. And over here, let's adjust that so that it's leaning more onto the left side. And on the right side, let's move it like so. This chest part right here, to emphasize it a little bit more, let's move it on the other side. Or should it be on the other side right here? Yeah, this side. So let's preview that one. And it looks on the left like that. Should it be moving on the right side or on the left side? Let's see. Which one looks right? Is it here? All right, that looks good. So after that, now let's do the bit where it looks from left to right. Let me just adjust this one quickly. All right, that looks better. And let's rotate that one so that it looks down. Or let's adjust the eyes really. Move the eyes right here so that it looks down on the lower left. And the nose as well. Like so. All right, cool. And now at 1.7 seconds, we want everything to look on the right side. So let's select the face, drag it on the right, like so. Same thing for this one, drag it on the right. And let's adjust the eyes so that it looks on the right side. Eyes in here as well. Same thing for the nose. All right, lovely. And as for the bangs, let's move it to the right as well. Over here. And then maybe let's rotate it a little bit so that we could emphasize that it's looking down. The side beards, let's adjust it. Adjust that one. Let's adjust it like so. All right. Like that. Adjust the pads for it. Okay. Same thing for the other side beard. We're moving on to the right. It goes into the right. And as for the hair, let's rotate it to the right. And move it to the right a little bit. Like that. And as for the ears, since we're on the right side looking, let's hide the right ear. And the left ear is going to be a little more in view. And as for the beard, it goes to the right side as well. And let's adjust the direction of the beard. For this, let's just adjust the pads. Drag it like so. And drag all these points to the other side. Like that. I'm going to just adjust them more. Alright, okay, that looks good. Adjust them more. Adjust them like so. Alright, lovely, lovely. Alright, cool. Now let's adjust the face shape. The body shape. Alright, so let's drag in. Select the points that we want to move. Drag them in here. So that we can emphasize more that it's looking on the right side. Right, lovely. Same thing for this one. Alright, cool. And now, as it goes to the right, we want to open its mouth as well so that it's smiling. Because this guy is pretty happy. Alright, so let's open the mouth. Like that. Right, okay, this part right here is the mouth. And let's adjust it like so. Okay. Lovely, lovely. And I think I got a reference over here. It should be this size. Alright. Like that. Move it like that. Let's reference it again. A little bit more. And it goes down. Alright. So everything goes up by the time we... So over here, let's adjust it more. Oops. Let's hold Option so that we can only adjust this one handle. Like that. Alright, lovely. But let's adjust the face to go a little bit more up since we're opening the mouth. And over here, let's adjust the eyes to look at more on the right side. Let's drag it more in. Alright, lovely. But back to the mouth. What we're going to do here, here's a little trick. Just so that we could preserve the same animation, let's duplicate this mouth stroke. And the duplicated mouth stroke is what we're going to use as a new mask for a mask group. Over here, let's delete the current mask. delete that one. I'm pressing delete. And over to our mouse stroke, the duplicated one, let's add a fill to it. Alright, lovely. And then let's just like rename this one quickly so that we still know that it's the mask. And if we play this back, it opens its mouth as it goes to the right side. Alright, lovely. And let's just adjust them a little bit more so that it looks fine. Let's rotate it. And I feel like the eyes is a bit too on the right side. Let's actually not rotate the nose. Right, cool. So at this point, let's just like adjust them so that they look fine. Over here. Right, cool. What about this bit right here? Let's adjust this one so that it looks more, it's looking on the left side. And let's adjust the face. And I feel like the eyes is a little bit too on the left side. So let's adjust it. Like that. And if we preview that, alright, lovely. That is what we want. Cool. So that is for the following part of the animation. Now let's move on to the part where it covers its eyes. So at 1.8, let's duplicate the same keyframe that we have on 1 second. So what we want to do here is that let's select the keyframe at 1 second, hold Option or Alt if you're in Windows, then drag it at 1.8. Basically what we're doing here is we're just duplicating the same keyframe at a different point in time. Alright, lovely. And as for the beard, let's access the path animation of the beard and let's have the same path in 1.2 at 1.8 seconds. You don't need to do that one, but just for like details, let's add that in. Alright, cool. So 1.8, there's that. And at 2.3, we want to cover its eyes. So at 2.3, let's grab in the arms. So the left arm over here, let's drag that in. Right. Let's drag that in and place it in position. Like that. Cool. The same thing for the other arm. Let's just rotate that one quickly. 180 and position it on the right side. Lovely. So that's the part where we cover our eyes, but let's just quickly align them. Like so. And if we play that back. Ooh. Lovely. Now it's covering its eyes. Now as for the bit where it peeks through its fingers, let's move on to 2.6 seconds. And over here, let's grab our fingers. And I think I've grouped it as 2 fingers right here. Alright, lovely. But 2.3 first, let's add a keyframe for 2 fingers. Add a keyframe at 2.3 for 2 fingers, and at 2.6, let's rotate it. Like so. Rotate it like that. And just to better see our eye, let's just adjust the hand or the entire arm quickly. Over here, let's do it like that. Alright, lovely. That's looking good. And if we play that back. Alright, so covers the eyes, then peaks. Lovely. Right, cool. Now that we've got our foundations, let's just quickly adjust the easings for it. So over here, let's adjust it to be slowly raise your hand. Alright, cool. And as it peaks, let's also do a slow down, but adjust it to be a little more slow. Right, cool. And that's it for the animation. Now we got the blinking animation, follow animation, and the cover animation, and also the peaking animation. At this point, our animation is done, and now we're good to add our states. But now, how do we add states inside of Lottielab? To add states inside of Lottielab, we just need to click this button called Interactivity. And over here, we need 4 different states. A state where it's blinking since we're not focusing on anything. A state where we follow as we type. And a state where it covers its eyes when we go onto the password. And a state where it peeks through the fingers by the time that we click on Show Password. So let's assign those states. So let's create one state right here, one more state, one more state, one more state. 4 different states. A state where we're not focusing on anything, and that's going to be the blinking state. A state where we click onto the username and we type in, so that's going to be the following state. And a state where we enter the password, that's going to be the covering state, where it covers its eyes. And a state where peeking by the time we say show password. And as for the blinking state, let's define its segment. It goes from 0 up until 1 second, and if we play that back, it's only showing the blinking animation. Lovely. And over to the state properties, let's set the looping to loop infinitely. Cool. Now as for the following bit, it goes from 1 second, no, actually in 1.2 seconds, up until 1.7. So from left to right. And actually, let's adjust our left to right here on the animation part because it doesn't look right. So let's go back to animation and let's adjust the face shape quickly. There we go. Right, lovely. And now back to interactivity. Now that we've set that one up, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna assign a custom variable that we can then say to our developers that use this variable to control the playback of the animation. So let's say custom formula, and let's go and say use this variable when you want to control the time progress of our animation. So this value takes in 0 to 1. This right here is the value of 0, the very start of the segment, and this at the very end of the segment is a value of 1. Alright, cool. And then later we'll better explain that one on the part 2 of the tutorial. Alright, so now on for the covering, let's define the segment for it. That segment right there is going to be 1.8 up until 2.3 seconds. Lovely, and if we play that back, it goes like that. Cool. Now as for the peaking animation, that right there is going to be 2.3 up until 2.6. Lovely. Now let's review our states. We got the state where it's only blinking, the state where we're not selecting any of the input, and the state where we select the input, the username input specifically. It goes from left to right, and the state where we select the password, where it covers its eyes, and the state where we enable the show password, where it's then peaking. And there you go. That's how we add our interactive states inside of Lottielab. And that concludes our part 1 of the tutorial. We've taken our design from Figma to Lottielab, animated it, and added some interactive states to it, all without touching a single line of code. In part 2, we'll bring it into React and make it fully functional. So if you want to see this fully come to life, don't miss that next tutorial. And as for the usual YouTube outro, subscribe for more tutorials, hit the like button if this was helpful, and drop a comment if you have any questions. And yeah, that being said, see you on part 2.